What's going on? Money Morning Live. 8-baller is always great to hang out with. Too bad we only get 30 minutes of him today. But right now, Tom Gentile is coming in to talk about the market as well as cryptocurrencies. We're going to bring in Tom. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hey everybody, good Monday morning. Welcome to Power Profit Trades. You know what day it is. It's Microcurrency Monday, and we finally had a positive week for Bitcoin. We'll take a look at it. We'll talk about anything that maybe lighten up green in our microcurrency trader portfolio. There is some. We're also going to talk about a big interview with a founder of Ethereum. All right, we'll talk about that too. There's a major hedge fund guy who's shorting Coinbase right now. He was out Friday after the close. We saw Coinbase drop 5% immediately after the market closed when he announced that short. So we'll talk about that. We'll dig into charts. We'll talk about your questions and my answers, all kinds of stuff going on here. Eric, I'm a little bit frazzled this morning.
You know, Tom, it's Monday. It's okay to be a little bit frazzled. We're just getting into it. You know, sometimes technology doesn't work with us right away, but I think we got things going. We could slow it down a little bit if you need to. We'll be just fine. I'm here for your support.
Yeah, well, hey, you know what?
What's that?
Let's talk about, before I get into cryptocurrency, because I've got all kinds of stuff I want to discuss. Before I get into cryptocurrency, I do want to move to the stock market for just a few minutes.
You got it.
So I have a question to ask everybody in the room. I haven't talked about this. I haven't done any recommendations on this, but I took a trade a couple weeks using some options in RSX. Are there any other RSX traders in here? Whether you're on YouTube with me or whether you're at Monday Morning Live. Anybody in RSX in one form or another? I'd like to hear from you right now, because I'm going to tell you what I did. And this is going to, now remember, I don't bet the farm on anything. So I'm okay, but I definitely have a losing position in RSX. Let me explain what I did. So about a month ago when RSX was, let me bring a chart up of RSX so we can all get a good look at what is going on with it. So I'm actually going to bring up my tools. I didn't plan on this morning, but I thought, you know what? This is my public service announcement to all of you that are option traders in the room. So let's go to a chart first of RSX. And RSX, because it's optionable, and if I have signals, I'm going to trade it. But I want to share with you what happened. All right, so I'm up here in this area. Let's take this down from 120 days to the last 30 days. As you can see what's happened here. So this thing has dropped, and it was trading around $25 right when the war was breaking out. Okay, so the war has been on for the last 26 days. We really started it right here when we broke down below the levels of 23, and we were trading around $21. All right, I decided to get involved with a, believe it or not, bearish position. Now you gotta be asking yourselves, how can you lose money in a bearish position with RSX? Well, I'm going to show you. All right, because what I did was I did a butterfly trade. Remember, RSX is trading all the way up here above 20. And I'm looking down here and I'm saying to myself, if this thing drops 50%, then I have a position that could actually do very well. So what I did was I put a trade on, and you know what? I'm missing the big mouse too. This is important.
Oh, we need the mouse. There you
go. The market's trading here, and I got a position on that really just does well, just extremely well, right down here at $8. So what I basically did was I did the 10-8-6 butterfly, bought the 10 puts, sold the 8 puts twice, and then bought the 6 puts for protection. That's called a bearish butterfly. All right. Now I did that, and what I did was I ended up doing that for very, very little money. And I thought, all right, this is going to be a great reward to risk ratio trade, and I'm willing to take the loss if it's either above 10 or below 6 by the time we get to expiration. Well, as you all know, we never got to expiration. This thing's trading down. It's looking good, looking good. It's trading on the second. It's trading just above and below. It's going from 7 to 9. I'm right in the sweet spot. And then we see the third and we drop down to 6. And I'm like, okay, I'm outside of the range now. But then the next day it dropped down and it had a little bit of recovery. I thought, this is going to be interesting. There's going to be a pretty good probability I'm going to end up with something in here. Well, as you know, soon after the market, they halted trading on RSX. And now I'm going to tell you, my options expiration was 3/18, was last Friday. So we sat through this, and I'm thinking, all right, worst case scenario is, any of you know anything about options, you know that if you have options that are in the money at expiration, the longs get exercised and the shorts get assigned and it gets carried away. Well, that wasn't the case with this one, because what they said was that you could only exercise long positions in the event that you had stock and you were trying to close a position. All right, so I couldn't exercise my longs. So I sat there with this idea that the options were going to be assigned, the options could be assigned. So again, what's the prudent thing you do when you're not sure about something that's going to happen? I call my broker, and I was on the phone with the risk department, and they said, yeah, there's a low probability of this happening. Well, Thursday afternoon, they changed the rules, and they said, oh yeah, you could exercise your short positions. You could go short, but you needed to have 500% margin. Somehow I missed the memo on that. I went through Friday expecting nothing to happen. And of course, Saturday comes along and I got all this RSX stock dumped into my account. So you could be, I had a raised eyebrow. Now, again, let me repeat this. This is a rule I always follow. Never, ever, ever bet the farm on everything. Don't bet the farm on one thing. You don't do that. I learned that lesson back in 1987. 87. All right. But I got to tell you, I was a little bit miffed at the idea that I got assigned on the short side and I never got the ability to exercise, nor was it automatically exercised. So I've got something going on with my broker on that small loss that I'm taking on the position. We'll see what happens. In any event, I might end up with a long-term trade now in RSX. Eric, is there anybody else out there talking about RSX and ending up with RSX stock and sitting on it like I am at $5.65, wondering what the opening price is going to be when it does come due, when they do unlock?
We have one person in chat that mentioned RSX, and member said, did a put spread and got RSX at $5.86. A couple of other people, yes, they're in it. Someone, T Brown, can't get out. So it looks like a couple of people are there with you. Yeah.
I want to let you know, I'm with you. I didn't want to be with you, okay? Didn't expect to be with you. That was not my intention, but I'm with you. And I've got a loss on the position that could actually give me more of a loss. But even my total exposure is a small amount. It's just, I don't like being, I'm okay with being wrong. We all know that. That's, there's no guarantee on anything that's going to win for you. I don't have guarantees. I don't make guarantees when it comes to winning positions, right? But I don't like to be insulted in the same way that this happened. This was handled so weird. I imagine that there's going to be a lot of lawsuits that are going to happen based on what happened with RSX, because they didn't give people the chance to basically hedge. Option traders never had the chance to exercise. It was really weird how they handled it. Anyway. All right, so that's my PSA for you. Never bet the farm on any one position, no matter how good it looks. And this looked extremely good, and I still ended up putting a small single-digit percentage move on this one, gain or loss. All right, so now that I got that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the overall markets real quick. And we're going to start with Bitcoin, as I've got it on the screen here. This is the chart that you're looking at right now. This is a 1-hour chart. This is right off my Coinbase account. There's my pretty little picture up there on the right-hand side. But over here is what I'm more interested in, the actual chart itself. So this is a chart that's giving me basically a 1-day range, and it's just 1-hour intervals. I'm going to squeeze this in for you because here, just a couple of hours ago, we were trading about at the 41,600 mark. We dropped all the way down to 40,900 and change. We're at 41.2 right now. Let's squeeze this in because this is what I want to show you. All right. What I want to show you is last week, the 14th, we were trading down here in the $38,000 range. I was here last week talking about this with you. And I said, we have been trading in a range from around 38,000 to as high as 45,000. In fact, it's actually been 35 to 45. Well, now, if you see where we are in the 1 week range, the low was around 37 and change. The high's been about 42 and change. So if you take 37.5, you take 42.5, right down the middle, 40,000 is the equilibrium. We are trading above 40,000. It really feels, it has the feel that this thing is tightening and tightening and tightening, and we're looking for a breakout to occur. Now, there is a signal I'm going to show all of you by the end of the day that tells me that this tightening could jump to the upside, and it has to do with our strategy session that we're going to be talking about after 12 o'clock today. So it's not that long. We're going to get into strategy session. I'm going to show you one chart, and this one chart might tell us something a little bit more about Bitcoin and about cryptocurrency as a whole as to where the break could happen. So if you take a look at Bitcoin itself, the bellwether, the Bitcoin has been positive over the last week. You see it right here. I'm going to come back to cryptocurrency charts in a moment because we have to tie cryptocurrency, Eric, to the overall market. Okay, it's important. It's important to get an idea of whether Bitcoin, whether cryptocurrency as a whole is acting like an asset or acting like an alt currency. So we're going to take a look at that right now. So let's take a look at our stock charts. And I'm going to look at our stock list. I'm going to look at them with channels. We've looked at channels before. I want to bring up channels because that's the focus of today's strategy is trading channels. As you can see here with the S&P 500, we have a downward channel. Now, I want you to take a look and see what's going on here. We had a really good week last week. This is the most positive week we've had in the market going back to November of 2020. Now, positive in terms of percentage gain. You might be able to look back here and say, Tom, this move right here that happened at the end of January, that looks a lot like the same move that happened here. Yes, and it might even be the same magnitude, but I want you to see this. The same move that happens on a higher price actually gives us a lower percentage move. So if I got the same move happening over here and the price is lower than I did earlier in the year, this move right here is going to show a higher percentage move, which it does. And that higher percentage move is giving us the bigger percentage, which is why everyone's touting it and was touting it on mainstream media last week. Oh, biggest up move since November 2020. Great. What I want to show you is right in here. Right in here, we are getting long-term and short-term resistance. So, where you hear a lot of the mainstream media saying the market's back, biggest move ever, got to start thinking like a contrarian. Thinking like a contrarian, the thing that I'm looking at is unless we get something concrete out of Russia and Ukraine in terms of some sort of diplomatic resolution to the conflict / war / whatever you want to call it, unless we get some conflict resolution, this could be a good resistance area right here because it looks like the market has priced out what could actually happen. So right here, we're running into some headwinds. We'll see where that ends up taking us. And that's what we're seeing on the S&P. Let's move this forward and let's look at TLT. The bond market. Now, the bond market too looks like it may have priced this out because bonds should go up during conflicts, go up during war because there's a lot of uncertainty. And it looks like that uncertainty, which was happening, oh gosh, this was back at the beginning of March, has just subsided. And you know what this is telling me now? Everybody's thinking about interest rates. Everyone's thinking about inflation. And you look at the news that came out. Eric, I don't know if you watch 60 Minutes.
I don't.
I typically don't. The family was a little louder than normal over the weekend. And sounds were traveling everywhere. And I actually got forced out of my living room.
Where do you go?
I had to
Okay.
go to the bedroom to watch Madness. So I'm watching March Madness, and and then after that, 60 Minutes comes on. Now, I used to think 60 Minutes was for old people, like my father.
Not
Fast
anymore.
forward, here I am watching it. And the only reason I'm watching it is because either I watched that because I didn't even have the remote with me. I had to watch whatever I could turn on. And you know how hard it is to funnel through a DVR when you don't have the remote.
You're
It's
doing it from,
terrible.
yeah, that's no good. It's not meant to work that
I'm
way.
up there on top of the DVR pushing all the buttons and trying to
Oh
get
man.
something, and I get CBS on or whatever. I think it's CBS. So March Madness over, at least for yesterday. CBS 60 Minutes is on. I didn't even know these faces. I'm looking for Andy Rooney.
I don't even
That's
know
how
who that
long.
is.
That's how long it's been since I watched 60 Minutes. Anyway, so 60 Minutes. The part that caught me was housing prices and the idea that we're 4 million homes short in the rental area, and that no one can afford a home anymore. Which I have to think, wow, it's that's a definite reality. When I look around and I see even in our sector, where just in the last 2 years the average home price has doubled in the Sarasota area. And you look at Tampa, which is one of the biggest markets right now for price increases. And so you take that, you take food, you take gas, you take everything that you and I pay for.
Hmm.
That's why this bond market's heading lower. This bond market's heading lower because of exactly that, because they expect these rate hikes to come. And so the bond market has now kind of brushed aside what's going on the other side of the Atlantic, in Eastern Europe. And we're more interested in what's going on right here inside the continental U.S. So that's why we're seeing that drop. So what's going on could bonds be a buy? Well, not quite yet, but down here we get down to 130 on TLT. We're at 130, 124. You get down to 130, we're going to run into some double, triple stack compression, potentially a buying opportunity. Let's look at USO back on the rise again. Remember last week, it was all about up. The move in USO was over, and we were talking about it getting down into that area before the big move happened, and that's exactly what happened. We dropped in below 70, and now here we are running back up again. Was up 7.5% one day last week. Where are we at now? I mean, this is another move with USO. I'm bringing up one of my other screens so I can see real time prices
Sure.
that are happening. So crude oil itself, all right, which is the byproduct of this ETF. Crude oil is up almost 5% today. So you can see that jump in USO that's taking it back to 78.32. Wow, here we go. We're gonna go up here. Now, I think this move, you're gonna see this second move is possibly going to eclipse 85, and we get a close above 85, and now we're heading for the cheap seats in terms of USO. USO is moving the way that conflict in Eastern Europe is suggesting. So here's one market that's actually moved along with it. How about gold? Is gold finally reached a short-term bottom? Well, we talked about gold last week, and we talked about the fact that it too came down into that 180 area, 178. So here it is right here before it made that big lift off, and it came right back down. Is this a support area? It sure looks like one. Now, gold isn't actually making a huge move up. If you look at the price of, for instance, you look at gold itself, spot gold's only up 0.3%. But you look at GLD, which they overshot this to the downside, and GLD's up 1.3% today. So the ETF is actually a buy. It actually is more bullish than the actual yellow metal itself. All right. VIX. What's the VIX doing? Nothing today. The VIX is taking a pause. All right. Taking a pause for power, which I believe was the commercial I kept seeing running on March Madness. Take a pause for power. I think that was Powerade's a new commercial. So it looks like the power in VXX and the power in the VIX is taking a pause right now, trying to figure out exactly where we go from here. Right. So I'm going to stop right there with all the stock stuff. But I wanted to just give you an idea that today is all about channels. Looking for channel support, looking for channel resistance. We're running into some long-term channel support on VXX. And I think the move in the volatility move in the markets is far from over right now. Right. And in fact, if anything, this is just a quick little pause before potentially the next up run. And that would make sense. If we get a move lower in the Dow, the S&P, the Nasdaq, all right, you get a move lower there, then we should get a move higher in the VIX. We should get a potentially move higher in gold. We should get a move higher in the bond market. But again, right now, it looks like everything is kind of on pause right now when you take a look at what's going on. Dow's down, S&P's up, Nasdaq's basically flat. This is the world we live in right now, is the world of uncertainty. In uncertainty, I'll tell you this as an investor and a trader, in the world of uncertainty, I dial back the amount of money I put into trades. I dial back the amount of money I put into investments, right? Because I want to keep the powder dry if all hell breaks loose and it becomes an actual screaming buying opportunity, right? I do believe, too, I'm going to mention one more thing about RSX. RSX may actually be the buy of the decade. It's just that you might have to sit in it for a decade to see any substantial investment return to you. And that's all I'll say about RSX going forward. Okay, let's move into cryptocurrency, and let's spend a little bit of time digesting cryptocurrency charts. And as I go into cryptocurrency charts, I'm actually going to go to crypto. And I'm going to pop in here, and I am going to look at some crypto fibs, some crypto Fibonacci. And so we'll start off with this chart right here. This is the 60-day chart. All right, looking at cryptocurrency with the lows at 35 and the highs at 45. You can see, back and forth and back and forth. And we've got, we've bounced twice off the low. We've bounced 3 times off the high. We've come down into the lower quadrant a couple of times, right down there above 37,000. And now we're moving back into the area about 42,000. Can you see? I know you could see it, Eric. Can you see where these lows are getting higher and these highs are getting lower? And we're getting into an area, that equilibrium right there below 40,000. That equilibrium is telling us that something's going to happen. We're going to see, when you coil a spring up and you let go of it, it bounces somewhere you don't even know where it's likely to go, because you don't. It's just got so much inertia and force into it that it's going to jump. That's what is bound to happen with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and cryptocurrency as a whole. So the question is, where's it going to jump? We'll get into that in a few minutes. So this is Bitcoin. This is the 60-day chart. Let's take this back a little bit. Let's look at a 250-day chart of BTC. All right. Now we look like we're a little bit more toward the bottom end of this, because you can see that we've had a 30,000 to 67.5 run up. We've shown this to you before. And then that subsequent pullback. And now here is that area. Now, when you look at the long-term chart, it looks like it could break to the downside. Move down, consolidation, potentially move lower, right? That's a possibility too, but that's looking at the 250-day chart. If we look at the 999-day chart, Eric, and we really look at this in terms of more of an investor, then it flips the script again. Because now what you're seeing is this huge up move. You're seeing the pullback. You're seeing us hold the 50% retracement area. It spiked through it a couple of times there over a few days, but we're holding that. And again, this area right here, close to 45,000, that's 44.6. We need to get above 45,000. I keep saying this. We've got to get above 45,000. We got to stay above 45,000 for a couple of days. And then the money will return in the area of Bitcoin, right? How about Ethereum? Let's start with Ethereum. We'll start with the long-term chart of ETH. And as you can see here, there's ETH. Let's bring that up real quick. Here's a 990-day chart on Ethereum. Look how much stronger this is. I'm going to share with you why I see that. You've got the low, right? You've got the high up here at 48.10. You got the pullback, 50%. But look at this higher low, And now we're sitting up here closer to that 30, looks like 3015 area. Get above, I said get above, stay above 3,000. Get above, stay above 3,000, and then we start working our way back up into the bullish quadrant right here. So, if this were a stop light, or if this was, a red light, Eric, this is the green area up here at the top above 3,000. This is the yellow area between 3,000 and about 1,900. And again, this is the red area down here below 1905. We haven't hit 1905. We hit 1905 in 2021 when we made that big rally, and then everybody just sold it off like crazy. 1, 2, 3. This is a good stopping area where the buyers came in, raced up to new all-time highs. We did have a big pullback. Guys, this is the most volatile asset in the space of all assets. Okay? Maybe the ruble might be running a close second, but I'm telling you, cryptocurrency is where the volatility is. You got to realize that when you're investing or trading in this space, that it can get volatile. All right. So that's Ethereum. That's the 999-day chart. Let's make that a 250-day chart. Let's step it down. Step it down. It looks like this. So again, here's your July lows of last year. Here's the highs of last year, 48.10. Here's the pullback that took us back quite a bit. And again, here we go. Lower highs, higher lows. Where are we going to break? And so that's the big question. Where are we going to break? And to me, if I can get some kind of a sign in Bitcoin or Ethereum, then of course I'm going to like the alpha coins. Those are all the smaller dollar coins that always tend to double or triple in the event of maybe a 10 or 20 or 30% move in the big coins. So you take a look at Ethereum and you can see those higher lows. And let's break it down and look at finally, I think I had a 60-day chart when I was starting this conversation. Yes, with Bitcoin. And as you can see here, the 60-day chart of Ethereum shows us down here. Really, I mean, you got some stabs here, but the closing area is like 2,400 and you got 3,200 up here. So you're really looking at about an 800-point move between low to high to low to low to low. The lows are getting higher and we're getting back above. And I'm telling you, that 3,000 mark, it wanted to get there late last week. It wanted to get there over the weekend. It didn't happen. Maybe today is the day. Maybe today is the start of something where we tried to do it back at the beginning of March. It didn't happen, and we fell down. I'd love to see us clock in a close and be above 3,000 for 3 days. 3 days above 3,000 means a big thing, a big deal to me. All right, that takes us back to the 3246 highs that we've had in the last 60 days. All right. So, what's the news that's surrounding all this? We're going to get to the news in a moment. But before we do, you know what, Eric?
Yes, Tom.
I talked about the 5,000 area. Let's talk about the 5 names, the top 5, really top 6 in cryptocurrency that are in our portfolio. Let's go ahead and show that now.
Yeah, we got it up on the screen. And Tom, it looks like you're into Kyber, Zcash, Kyber Network again. What's that third one? Is it Synthetics? Synthetics? I don't even know that one. Ethereum and Polkadot. Talk to us about them.
Yeah. So what we have here is we have these 6. These are things that we have right now in our microcurrency portfolio. Kyber Network, that's a trade we put on back in June of last year. That's up 91%. We're looking to take some gains here pretty soon in Kyber, but we also have another Kyber because Kyber gave us 2 signals, and one of the signals was at 177, and the other one was at 293, and so we were buying it on the way up. So sometimes we actually get signals. We call them the triple stack compression buys. Sometimes we get multiple triple stacks to the upside, and sometimes we get multiple triple stacks to the downside. It's all of what our computer is looking at and telling us what it feels is the best entry points. So that's Kyber. Zcash, well, that was one we got into on January 10th, right? Up over 19%. Synthetics, that was a trade that we put on just recently, okay? And so you can see that one, that's popped in and up about 13% since our entry point on it. We also have Ethereum. We jumped into Ethereum, and Ethereum is up about a little more than 10% since our Ethereum purchase back at the end of January. And of course, Polkadot, we put the Polkadot trade on, and the Polkadot's just kind of moving sideways up 1.6%. So you can see all of our holdings, even Ethereum, DOT, BTC, all in the green this weekend. And we did see a pullback last night, but it looks like we're pushing forward this morning right back to where we were, closing in on those weekend highs. Now, that being said, I don't see any huge catalysts coming for this market anytime soon. And so, what we do is we drill down to these individual charts. We drill down to the assets themselves. I take a look at my artificial intelligence to tell me what is important, what looks good as a potential buying opportunity. I didn't find much, Eric, but I found something that's on the radar. Okay, not a cold stone recommendation, but it's on the radar. Going to show what I got on the radar that popped up this morning. Before we do that, let's talk about the headlines that could be driving the microcurrency trading industry right now. So how about we dive into some crypto news?
Yeah, we got Buterin on the Bored Apes. I'll read through and then you can kind of give your take on it, Tom. So Buterin worries about the dangers of overeager investors, the soaring transaction fees, and shameless displays of wealth that have come to dominate public perception of crypto. The peril is you have these $3 million monkeys and it becomes a different kind of gambling, he says, referring to the Bored Ape Yacht Club, an uber popular NFT collection of garish primate cartoons that have become a digital age status symbol. I'm struggling to read this because it's so small. I hope you guys can read it in the chat. Status symbol for millionaires, including Jimmy Fallon, Paris Hilton, and many more, actually, which have traded for over $1 million per NFT. There definitely are a lot of people that are just buying the yachts and Lambos. So essentially, Tom, it's like, putting a Rolex on your watch, status symbol, buying that car. Now it's NFTs, PFPs, the Bored Ape Yacht Club,
they're buying the digital version.
Yeah, and they're using it as their Twitter profile.
And they're paying more for the digital version than they would be for the real thing.
Crazy, if you ask me.
Is that what I'm reading?
I mean, it's a status symbol the same way driving around in one of those cars or wearing one of those watches is. You're on Twitter, you have that PFP, and people know you got money.
Hey, listen, I'm one of the first people that dove into Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. I'm still, me, Eric, I'm not an NFT guy because I don't quite get it yet. I'll take land. I'll take hard assets right now. To me, that's just my I'm not Nick Black, guys. So Nick knows that space. I don't know that space. You can ask me everything in the world you want about NFTs. I'm going to tell you the same thing. I don't trade them. I'm not going to go in and talk about things I don't do. Right. Now,
but what Nick says about them, Nick says that it's gambling. NFTs are gambling. So if you're not into gambling, it's smart to stay out.
And I've heard him talk about, and I do agree with him on this. If you're buying it to put it on to put it on your digital wall, mm-hmm. Or you're buying it for the creativity or the art, that's different. I mean, we all buy stuff that we know we can't turn around and sell. I mean, look at furniture these days. Well, furniture might be actually an investment these days because no one's able to get any. But you buy a piece of furniture, as soon as you walk out the door with it and sit on it, it's worth about 10% of the value that you paid for it. But you're not looking at buying a couch to turn around and profit from it. At least I'm not. And you got to approach these NFTs kind of the same way. Now, let's talk about the Bored Apes for a moment. When I read this, I thought, my son has a T-shirt, I think it says Bored Apes on it. But he's not into buying $1 million NFTs, I can assure you of that. I look at this and I just think this is just an area where, you got those, we could call them shameless displays of wealth. But here's the thing is that I look at this and I try to approach all of this as an investor, and I don't see it. I agree. It's art. It's something you might want to own. If you want to own it, by all means get it. But and to make Vitalik's point, here's a headline that's straight from South by Southwest. So, throw that up there, Eric.
Yep, we have SXSW 2022 showcased immersive NFT experiences lacking crypto and Bitcoin sessions. And it reads, SXSW 2022 was overrun with NFTs and all things Web3, but had little focus on the cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Yeah, it just seems that most of the crypto focus is around NFTs and the metaverse when you look at, these first couple of headlines, as opposed to underlying Bitcoin and blockchain architecture. So, that's the thing you got to realize is that, I don't own an NFT. I almost bought one, Eric. I think I talked about this months ago, where I almost bought an NFT from a wine. It was a wine that was in Georgia, part of Russia. Well, I'm kind of wishing I would have got that now, because it also came with a bottle of this 100-year-old monk wine.
That's a different story.
Yeah. I mean, that came with something real, right. And I mean it has the dust on it of being in the monastery and down in the cellars for 100 years. And all these monks did was they turned the wine bottles once a month.
Wow.
They just continued to turn these wine bottles year after year after year. And I almost bought the wine, and I was going to get an NFT along with it, but I didn't. Boy, I wish I would have now. Anyway, that's, save that for another conversation. I mean, multiple exhibits, multiple panels about NFTs, a lot of talk about the metaverse, especially at this year's conference. All right. That's the SXSW. All right. South by Southwest Conference. A lot of stuff is being talked about there. It all revolved around NFTs and metaverse. And I'm not in either one of them. Okay, I'm not in NFTs. I don't have any land at Decentraland. I don't own digital property next to Snoop Dogg. Maybe I'm missing the boat on this one, but I always feel like, it's kind of like the marijuana industry. Those that got in early had the chance to profit. Those that got in by hearing it from the mainstream media are still in it and may be in it for quite some time. So, that's the part I wanted to talk about. At the end of the day, there's only one Bitcoin panel, and it kind of underlines where a lot of the focus in the sector is right now. So, shifting the conversation, let's turn to crypto-related stocks. So, I don't know if any of you caught. So, it was after the market closed on Friday. Jim Chanos was on CNBC, and he had his big short. He was talking about the big short. Everybody was just on pins and needles waiting. Mm-hmm. And it ended up being, there was a company I'm trying to remember it was not something I'd heard of before that he was shorting. But then he came out and he said, I'm shorting something else too. I'm shorting Coinbase. Now, he wasn't shorting Coinbase because he was shorting Bitcoin, but throw that header up.
I'm already ahead of you here, Tom. It says the founder of Kinko's Associates called the crypto exchange a bubble stock in the CNBC interview. He's shorting Coinbase, he said right here.
Yeah, and basically what he's saying is that it's something that we all already know. Okay, we've known this for some time. I have a little bit of Coinbase stock, but not much. Mm-hmm. And let me just say this. This doesn't mean he's shorting cryptocurrency. Doesn't mean he's short Bitcoin. What he sees is an overreaction or not the sell-off that everyone expected in Coinbase because of their fees. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, folks. We talked about the fact that you saw it when Coinbase, let me go over here and let me show you what I'm talking about. When Coinbase put this advanced trading feature on Coinbase.com, what they didn't tell everyone, but everyone figured it out fast, is when they were actually trading on Coinbase, whether they were using the advanced trade or whether they're using that simple trade. A couple people realized very quickly that they slashed their fees by 2/3. They basically allowed all their Coinbase users to have the same fee as Coinbase Pro. I'm looking at this now and I'm thinking, why am I even using Coinbase Pro? Because you have every feature. Look at this. This happened recently. You have the ability to do limit orders. All right. You have the ability to do, always had the ability to do market orders in Coinbase. You have the ability to do limit orders, but now they put the stop limit in. All right. This came in a couple weeks ago too. So you have the ability to do now in your regular Coinbase account what you used to do in Coinbase Pro.
Hey,
So there you
Tom,
go.
you mind if I jump in really quick about that too? So I use Coinbase Pro exclusively, and tax time came, and I'm trying to figure out all my trades for the year. And Coinbase offers us the ability to do some type of a printout and kind of consolidate all that data. Coinbase Pro does not have that. So I had 25 pages printed out that I needed to go to an external source, pay for a service to consolidate all that, where I believe Coinbase does it for you from
Yep.
the platform already.
Yep.
So another perk right there that I didn't even realize until just last week.
You will see Coinbase traders. You will see people in Coinbase Pro that are going to be moving their accounts back to Coinbase for
Yeah.
that and more. The ability to get the charts like we see here now. You have real time charting ability. You didn't have that before. You have the ability to put in more than just a market order, and they also do a lot of the tax record keeping for you. At least they do your accounting for you, so you can hand that to your tax professional very very easily. So
Exactly.
that's but now I just gave you a bunch of positives, but the negative, the big negative that Chanos went with is that they're over earning, and he expects their even slashed fees that we see on this platform to be slashed even more. So there you go. How about Facebook? Do you have
Yep.
anything on Facebook that you can show?
Zuckerberg's Facebook receives very worrisome news about crypto. The social media giant faces serious allegations about its crypto practices. I'm not aware. What are they doing in crypto that's maybe a little dicey?
Yeah, so the ACCC, that's basically the Australian authority. All
Hmm.
right. This is in Australia. They're basically saying that Meta is responsible for the crypto ads that scammers have been placing on the platform. And it's going to be suing them to recover penalties and costs. I got to say, I see this happening on Facebook. Really, I see it happening on YouTube. Okay, so those of you that are on my YouTube channel, here you go. I'm going to give you a PSA right now. Almost every single video I do and every single live stream I do on YouTube, some bot is going in there saying, "Oh, Mr. So and so made me 5 Bitcoin BTC. You should have him manage your account. Just message him on WhatsApp or message him on Telegram." Let me tell you something. No money manager in the world uses a WhatsApp phone or a Telegram phone as their office. They don't do it. All right. These are phone numbers that pop up and then they disappear. And here's another thing: no money manager is ever going to text you back and forth and tell you to deposit Bitcoin with him. Not going to happen. All that Bitcoin manager, if we can call it that, is designed to do is manage to get your Bitcoins out of your wallet and put them into his. Then you'll never hear from him again. All right. So what's happening is that the watchdog organization is basically saying, guess what? We're going to hold those of you that have these ads responsible on the platform. And I imagine it's going to be some time before YouTube runs into this problem too, because these bots are popping up and they're extracting money from hardworking people that don't know any better. And so, this is stuff that's popping up, and these platforms, they do a lot of good. I'm not gonna say anything bad about them, but they should do a better job of finding out whether somebody on there is live and how to hold that person accountable. And you can't, if it's a bot. If it's a robotic thing that goes back to somebody in some unknown country, then you got to take them down. You can't have this stuff continue to happen. All right, so let's get into now. We did a little bit of chart review already, Eric. And
We
so we've
did.
talked about our charts. We've talked about our top assets. And we're going to get into some more details at 1 p.m. For those of you that are part of microcurrency. I'm going to go into all of our crypto charts with everyone at 1 p.m. But I want to talk a little bit about a strategy session with everybody. Okay. So those of you that are part of microcurrency trader, you know what we do. We dial down into 3 different areas where we find our buying opportunities, right? One of our areas is we take a huge overview. It's kind of like we're flying over the landscape and we're looking at the 40,000 foot view, the 30,000 foot view. It's kind of like when I'm in an airplane, and I haven't been in one in a while. But when I'm on an airplane and I got the window seat and I'm looking out the window, if the clouds aren't up there, I can kind of see the landscape. If you go across the country, I actually think it's quite amazing. That's what we do. We do our first take with cryptocurrency. We look at the landscape. And by landscape, I look at Bitcoin and I look at Ethereum, and I'm looking at long-term charts. Okay. We also use something called currency waves. And currency waves are a way of looking at also longer-term trends, or what I like to call maybe intermediate-term trends that are happening in not just Bitcoin and Ethereum, but in cryptocurrencies as a whole. But the one thing I want to talk about today in our session is when we look at these digital assets, we look at what I like to call, I hunt for things called triple stack buys. Triple stack buys, I think, are so powerful. And we'll get into these in a little bit more detail at 1 o'clock, but I want to show everybody what a triple stack buy looks like. So this is an example of what I like to call triple stack buy and what I call the 3 Ps. All right, the 3 Ps are based on 3 different channels. So when I'm looking at a channel and I'm looking at a long-term channel, an intermediate-term channel, and a short-term channel, I'm looking at the longer-term trend, the intermediate-term trend, and the short-term trend. And I'm looking for these support areas to where we see long and intermediate, or short and intermediate, or long and short, or all of the above, all stacking up in the same area. So I like to call this a channel collision. And that's where if you see the long-term chart, this is an example here where I've got this longer-term chart going up. I've got the shorter-term trend moving sideways, or intermediate sideways, and shorter-term coming down. So this is what we call the precipitation chart. It happens slowly. The parallel chart, which is a pause, and the propulsion chart, which is very quick, all come and meet together in a designated spot, which we like to call channel collision or triple stack compression. Now, what we've done is we have our artificial intelligence look for these opportunities to occur. And when they occur, we get a buying opportunity, right? Now, there's a little bit more than if they just come together and the computer says buy. We have to vet those. And the other thing we have to do is when it comes to the stock market, I have to wait to the close to verify the buy. Same thing holds true with cryptocurrencies. When the cryptocurrency market says this to me, I have to wait also for a close. Now, cryptocurrency, we wait for a close that happens at the end of the day. It doesn't happen at 4 o'clock. It happens later in the afternoon. And at that time, then we're able to see whether that triple stack actually held. Because you know what could happen between now and 5 o'clock? We could see that drop in and it doesn't hold. And then that really wasn't a buy. But we need closing data to give us that triple stack buy. I'm going to show you one before the end of in the next 10 minutes that is pumping up, showing us a buying opportunity. But I still got to see what happens to the rest of today. So what ends up happening, guys, is this is part of what we call our darknet design. It's our contrarian trading strategy. So darknet's kind of similar to Elliott wave. If you understand what the Elliott wave concept is, then you know that's a contrarian form of trading. All right, what we use is channels. We don't use waves, Elliott waves. We take channels. We take snapshots of channels, and we're constantly looking at those. Where our strategy differs is the Elliott wave has up waves and it has down waves. It has bullish and bearish opportunities, and they change a lot. What I mean by that is that if you've ever traded Elliott wave or used it, a wave 3 can change on a moment's notice. A wave 4 can change on a moment's notice, and therefore the buy signal you get may not be the right one. With ours, they're steadfast. They never change. The other thing is that we use with darknet is that it's a buying only strategy. It's not bullish or bearish, but that's perfect for cryptocurrency because we're not shorting cryptocurrency. Although I'm working on a cryptocurrency shorting strategy, which I'll share with everybody when the time is right. Right now, I have a buying opportunity, a buying strategy going on. Right now, and especially with cryptocurrency, the bullish signals are much, much better than any bearish signals you could ever get. That's why we use it as a buy-only strategy. Now, Eric, you see this? I showed this chart here in the beginning.
Yes, sir.
This is what it looks like when the computer looks at it. It gives me B's and S's, buys and sells. Okay, it gives me ideas. So the computer, it doesn't need channels. It has the mathematics behind the channel, and it just says, here's a channel stack, here's a buying opportunity, here's a selling opportunity, etc. Okay, so we put all that together, and that gives us that potential buying opportunity. So before I get to our buying opportunity of the day, I thought we could spend a few minutes with some questions.
Yes, so let's jump into these. Let's jump in. We got a handful of them here for everyone. And we're going to start it out with this one from a member. It's about NXS. Tom, what's your opinion about the Nexus platform? Are you a fan? Are you not a fan? How do you feel?
Well, I don't have one. I'm not a fan, and I'm not a fan. And the reason why is because I don't use the Nexus platform. And I don't like to comment on things I don't use because that would be, that would truly be an opinion. And I'm not really an opinion type of trader. Eric, do you have an opinion on Nexus?
It's also a platform that I have never used. I typically buy everything that I purchase on Coinbase Pro, maybe Coinbase soon. And because I'm in New York, a lot of platforms are blocked off for me. So I'll do a lot of trading or swapping in MetaMask itself. But that's really all that I mess around with. So like you really can't comment on something you haven't experienced, right? It wouldn't be fair.
Exactly.
So let's move on to the next question then instead, which is right here from another member. People don't like to change their names. Give us your name so we could see who you are. But it's about crypto limit orders. How do we set limits? Sorry, I'm a newbie. I don't see how to do that on Coinbase. They may not have that advanced option or maybe haven't clicked it.
Yeah, so this is actually, I'm going to bring up my Coinbase platform again here. And this is what you do. So if you log into Coinbase, this is something that's only been around for maybe a month or so. So a lot of people don't know about this. And we're probably going to get this question asked a lot more in the future, Eric. And I'm happy to continue to answer this because there's just so many people that do not know this exists. When you log into Coinbase and you're going to go to an area where you're going to see your portfolio. But if you come down, you'll see something called trade assets. And when you click on trade assets, what's going to happen is you're going to have trade and you're also going to have advanced trade. And that's going to be up here in the upper left-hand corner. I have already clicked on advanced trade, and that's what you're going to need to do. When you click on advanced trade, you're going to choose the cryptocurrency that you're interested in buying or selling. Buying if you don't have it, selling if you potentially have it and you want to get out of it. On the far right-hand side, upper right-hand side, you'll see the buy and sell area. I'm going to zoom into it real quick. And you can see here, this is the area where you're going to be able to put a limit order in. So this is a market order. You're going to click limit. And then from there, this limit price is the market price. It's moving around a lot. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to change that. You say, well, you know what, if Bitcoin goes down to $40,000, I want to buy it. And then you can talk about, you can put down here the amount you want to buy. And then, what your total is going to end up being, your fees, etc. And it's just a matter of putting in there buy BTC. That's how you can do that. Okay, so it's actually really simple. And then somewhere down the road here on a future show, I'll show you how to use the stop limit order feature as well. Especially when it comes to me ready to sell something, I might use the stop limit order on a or limit order sell, or maybe I'll use the stop limit order on a buy if we start to run up and I see a buying opportunity actually above the price of crypto. But that's how you do it, Eric. It's simply go to advanced trade and then click limit and fill in the blanks. How much do you want to pay for the asset and how much of the asset do you want to buy. Same
Yeah.
thing on the sell side. When it comes time to sell something, you do the exact same thing. You can say, oh, I want to sell Bitcoin at 90,000. And then you can put in how much Bitcoin you want to sell at 90,000. And that once you place that order, it goes in as an open order that will not be filled until your limit order is reached or exceeded.
Yeah, well explained there. I appreciate it. And when I started out with this, the most difficult thing for me to figure out in the beginning when I was a complete newbie was, how do you figure out what decimal point you want if you're buying something like Bitcoin? Because most likely most of us are not going out and buying one full Bitcoin. So really all you have to do is like play around with the numbers, play around with the decimal points until it reads out the amount that works for you. There's no quick tool to do that. So you just kind of play with the numbers until you get to where you want to be.
Yep.
Let's go to another question. We have only a few minutes left. So we have this one coming in about Cardano versus Ethereum. What do you think about this one, Tom, from NC Mark? Do you think Cardano will replace Ethereum in the next 5 years because of Cardano's gas fees and how high they are?
Well, that's such a tough one to answer. I think, you got ETH2 that can replace ETH. It's supposed to have much more efficiency and lower fees. ADA could have lower gas fees in the future. Their efficiency is much better, but the gas fees, yeah, I agree, the gas fees kind of high. But I really think that remains to be seen. Eric, are you hearing anything that might make you sway to answer this any differently?
Something that I hear Nick talk about, because I do his shows as well. He talks about how a lot of these competitors to Ethereum aren't trying to eliminate Ethereum. They're just trying to do something that Ethereum is doing in a different way for different services. So could there be something that comes along and is just that does exactly what Ethereum does and does it better? Yeah, that could totally happen. I don't know that that's going to be Cardano, but I guess you never know. It's hard to look 5 years down the line and say, is Ethereum still going to be relevant? And you made a good point, Tom. Ethereum 2.0 is going to be a lot more efficient, so it could make itself, even a longer term competitor in that space. But I know we have a minute left, and you have to give us your pick for the day. You have a Monday pick, don't you?
I do.
What is
it? It's on the setup, and it's actually Bitcoin. So if you take a look over here on my chart, you see that B right there. That is a dark net triple stack buy compression signal. It is not confirmed yet, but it is definitely on my watch list for the day. We're going to take a look at that 1 o'clock also, and I'll dive into that in more detail for our premium members. But that's what I'm looking at right now on the setup. Again, it hasn't, I still need to do some vetting on this. We need a little more time, but I thought I'd just share that with everybody right now, is that, that it's looking pretty interesting. So guys, there you go. To all of my premium subscribers, guess what? We're going to take a little break. I will see you at 1 p.m. in the Microcurrency Trader members only room. We're going to take a deeper dive into crypto. I also want to show you something else I'm working on too. All right. For everyone else, I'm actually going to be off tomorrow. Mike Wade is going to come in my place, and he is going to do a deep dive into Operation Surge Strike and the actual strategy. He's going to pull the curtains and going to talk about the strategy tomorrow. So we'll see all of you tomorrow, same time, same place. Till then, have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.